Welcome to part 2 of our HT antenna testing, whether you should throw your rubber ducky antennas away. If you haven't seen part 1, I recommend you watch that before watching this video, as this is a continuation. We'll be picking up right where we stopped on the last video, part 1. Let's get right into it. Okay, we're on the bench. I've got the bench camera set up to where you're zoomed in on the spectrum analyzer where you can see the numbers well. And the normal wide view camera is set up so that you can see which antenna is on. And I've got my handheld, my Yaesu here, over here with me. I'm staying to this side away from where the transmitter is to make sure I don't interfere with things, and staying back a ways. I've got the fox hunting transmitter approximately 60 to 70 feet away. I've got it on low power. I've got a fixed antenna on it. And the plan here is it's going to transmit, and we're going to look at the signal strength we're receiving from the antenna that's on the spectrum analyzer right now, which is the Yaesu Rubber Ducky. So I can remote control the transmitter, so I'm going to key it and tell it to go ahead and start transmitting. We'll be able to hear it over my little Yaesu. I'll adjust the volume once I get it going. And we'll look for what the peak signal we received was, which of course will be the least negative number, the lowest negative number. So let's key the transmitter, and there it goes. And we can see that we've got a picked up signal. Looks like it's around negative 4250, 42. There's negative 4102, negative 4096, 4091. So that's ending the 1 minute cycle. Okay, so at that point I'm going to key up and turn it off so that it won't start cycling again. We'll change antennas now. I'll swap over to the Bofang, and everything being equal, we'll see how it does. Okay, now we got the signal stick on. I expect to see much better signals reception with this antenna to the two previous. So let's key the transmitter and see what we think. Now that's me keying up when you see that first spike. That's why I wait for it to settle out. As you can see, substantially stronger signals. And last but hopefully not least is our antenna, or the Lynx antenna. Let's see how he does. So let me key the transmitter. And again, remember, when you see these real high spikes, it's because I'm keying my handheld here to tell the fox hunter to start transmitting. So I'm real close, and you're going to have really strong signals from me. Okay, I'm going to shut down the Fox transmitter for the moment. That completes the receiver test. So what we'll be doing now is moving on to the transmit test. So what we'll do is I will go ahead and put an antenna on the spectrum analyzer. That's not one of our test antennas, and that's the antenna that will be on the whole time. And we will cycle through the antennas on the transmitter side this time without changing anything. And that'll let us see which antenna puts out the better signal. So I'll be back in just a minute and we'll go from there. Okay, we're ready to start our transmit test. The spectrum analyzer has the antenna that was on the Fox Hunter now. The Fox Hunter has, and it will continue to stay here, same antenna. The Fox Hunter, which is out on my corner of my deck, as I said, 60 to 70 feet away outside, and it's out there waiting to transmit using the Yaesu antenna. So I'm going to trigger it, and we're going to see what kind of signal we get from it. Okay, turn off the Fox transmitter. And that's it. That's the test for 2 meters. I'm going to switch everything out, change the frequency on the Fox transmitter, run through the test again, test everything under 440 band at 448 megahertz, and compile all the data, and we'll see what we end up with, see how we compare out. So we'll be right back. Okay, it's 2 days later, and I have run the test for both 2 meters and 440 2 additional times for a complete 3 tests. Compared the data to make sure it was agreeing time and time again, and there was no variations that were remarkable. The numbers varied slightly each time, but comparatively stayed the same. So the number 1 antenna was always the number 1 antenna, the number 4 antenna was always the number 4 antenna. So after that, we are ready to start comparing the data. So it's been only a long couple of days of getting this done. So let's see how we came out on it. Okay, after all of that testing, this is what we ended up with as far as our numbers. Here's our 2 meter, these are all our 2 meter, here's all our 70 centimeter 440 megahertz. The different antennas that we tested, what the signal, these are each signal string that we recorded over the minute the spectrum analyzer was getting. This is for receive, where we changed the antennas out that we were testing on the spectrum analyzer. Down here was the transmit, where we did it the other way around. We put a fixed antenna on the spectrum analyzer and we cycled antennas on the transmitter. So these are the signal strengths we received. These are their averages. I felt this was the fairest test because these things bobble around somewhat. So my thought was the most scientific way I could see to do this was to average over a full minute, and that way get a fair assessment of what the, over a period of time, signal strength was from each unit. I feel that was fair. So I put that into this sheet here, and then I brought it over to our outcome. And here's what our outcome looks like. Here's the final numbers being brought over off the averages that correspond to this sheet. And then what you have is down here, this is converting from dBm into microwatts. So that allows us to look, more is better. That's the signal strength actually being received by the spectrum analyzer. And it gives us not only a more straight up higher is better chart, it also gives us a linear representation instead of logarithmic, so that you can look at if it's twice as much as twice the signals are being received. So that comes out in a chart that looks like this. Okay, your blacks are your FT70D Yaesu Rubber Ducky. These light red are the GT5R Rubber Ducky. The green is the signal stick, and the blue was my antenna that I created that was a little longer, remember, the Lynx. And if you remember about the Lynx, the big thing was we left it a little longer, trimmed it down, and found a spot a little bit longer that gave us better looking SWRs. And what do we see? What do we notice? There's a couple takeaways right here to answer two of the questions I wanted to cover in this video. The first one is, I told you I was going to show you whether you should throw your rubber ducky away. And so it comes down to this. One clear thing that both of these I knew would come out like this. First of all, the rubber duckies do not perform anywhere near what a quarter wave antenna does. So if your rubber ducky is doing what you need on your radio and you like the convenience of the shorter antenna, by all means keep it. But if your goal is to have a radio that reaches out for the best distance, the strongest signal, pulls in the weaker signals, yes, throw it away and put a quarter wave. Whatever quarter wave you want, you're going to find they're all going to be, a major increase like this. Now, the other thing that didn't shock me, surprisingly, is you look here and you say, RJ, you did all this testing to prove that the antenna you made was worse than a signal stick. Yes, I did. Because this is not the best antenna I can build. This is the best antenna to demonstrate a fact that I wanted to bring forward. And it's going to lead into an upcoming video where I discuss the myth, the lore, and the legends of SWR and how so much information is wrong that you're being told on the internet and on the frequencies, and your old ham buddies telling you. And I'm going to set a lot of that straight in that video, and this is one of them. Tuning an antenna for SWR does not make the best antenna. There's no guarantee the antenna with better SWR is going to receive or put out better than an antenna that has worse SWR. And I made my antennas longer to a point where I could find a better SWR to demonstrate this. Notice that in no situation, either band, whether I'm transmitting or receiving, did my antenna do better than the signal stick. Well, I kind of suspected that because Signal Stick's been making antennas like this for a long time. They've had a lot of time to tweak and play and test, and I can assure you they have went through many iterations to come up with the best antenna they could, and I think they do a good job. Nothing wrong with a Signal Stick antenna. Many people swear by them. My antenna was just built the same way, but not quite cut the same. So when you're testing an antenna and you say, oh, this doesn't have very good SWR, that doesn't mean it won't work well. There are reasons you might want good SWR, but you can't always have them. On a handheld, it's kind of tough to get a good SWR on a handheld radio. The ground plane is so limiting. But again, lower SWR does not always lead to a better antenna. Now, as I said, this is not the best antenna I can make. Now what I'll do is I'll go back to my antenna and I will start trimming it until I get the best signals I can get. Now, will they beat a signal stick? I don't know. Probably not. They've probably optimized this thing to the umpteenth degree. I'll probably find that the length that they're running is a sweet spot, and that's just as good as you can get. Or maybe I can tweak a little bit out, but I can tell you they're going to probably be pretty spot on. So I wouldn't be surprised if my antenna doesn't end up being pretty much the same length. If there's any length difference, it'll probably be because of the little ball that I put on top is different and affects the antenna, because everything on an antenna affects everything on an antenna. So with that, I hope I've answered the question. You can look at this and make a decision for yourself. Is this kind of performance increase worth it to you to have a longer antenna? Especially if you go to something like a memory wire antenna where you can actually fold it up when you're not needing it. I don't know. Does this mean you should buy a memory wire antenna? Not necessarily. Any quarter wave is going to do a lot better than these rubber duckies. Will they do better than these? I don't know. I haven't tested them against these. But I can tell you they're definitely going to do better. Unless you have just a badly made antenna, you're going to get better with a full quarter wave. These rubber duckies are shortened antennas. They're antennas that are not optimized length. They're optimized for convenience. They're cold loaded to get the antenna to work. And you are sacrificing when you do that. You compromise. You come up with a compromise for a short antenna that does not perform as well as it could. These have no compromise. These are a quarter wave. They're, other than adding some kind of artificial ground plane, additional ground plane like a tiger tail or something on, these are doing what they're going to do. Probably one of the things I should have done is thrown a tiger tail on these and looked at the difference. That would have been interesting to see. Maybe I'll do that in a follow-up video. But this video is long enough. So if anybody's got any questions about this, or how I went about it, or you don't think I did it the right way, or you disagree with my findings, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm totally open to it. If you make a good point where you think I've missed something and I feel that you have a legitimate complaint, I may very well come out with another video and take a look at it from the angle you're looking at. But I think this is a pretty fair and very reasonable test we've done here. You have everything exactly the same equipment. So comparison-wise, I think this will give you a very fair comparison between the antennas. Thank you for hanging into this video. I know it was a little long. It was long and tedious for me too, believe me. Hope you got something out of it. I hope you have a better understanding of just how much of a difference better antenna on a handheld will do for you. We'll see you in the later video. Thanks.